Welcome back to Hashtag That. I'm Joe Flynn.
And I'm Alex Kendall. From James Bond to Severance, we're back with the latest entertainment news updates.
All that and more. From Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news. From Hamden to Hollywood,
we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
A fire broke out in Walt Disney World's Epcot Park in Orlando this past Saturday. The fire occurred in the French section of the park and required an evacuation of all guests. Local firefighters were able to extinguish the flame quickly. A representative from Disney stated that the inferno was caused by a walk-in cooler within Epcot that caught fire. Many park guests recorded the fire, which caused the clips to go viral on various social media platforms. There were no injuries and minimal damage to the park's buildings as a result of the incident.
FCC Chief Brandon Carr might be the final hurdle in Paramount Skydance merger. This $8 billion merger has been in the works for months, with negotiations ending in July of 2024. Skydance and Paramount have been long-standing partners, having worked on the Mission Impossible series. Thanks to this partnership, Skydance CEO David Ellison is set to inherit the company post-merger. In return, Paramount gains fresh capital and innovative strategies from Skydance. However, since the merger involves the transfer of broadcast licenses, it requires FCC approval. And in a recent Bloomberg interview, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr noted, quote, "Any businesses that are looking for FCC approval, I would encourage them to get busy ending any sort of DEI discrimination," end quote. The message is clear. The FCC has one goal. If you cannot respect it, you do not get approval. Given that Paramount recently sought to dismiss Trump's lawsuit over a Kamala Harris interview, the company seems to already be in hot water with the administration. Despite this, Paramount has set to roll back DEI initiatives, with one executive telling Deadline, end quote, the company would no longer measure success in progress on company-wide DEI initiatives, end quote. Paramount is not the first entertainment company affected by this wave of changes, and it will not be the last. However, whether or not this will be enough to avoid the wrath of Brendan Carr is still to be seen.
In some much-needed lighter news, the Broadway show Othello became the highest-grossing Broadway play to date. The show grossed $2.8 million last week. Starring Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal, the play is based on the Shakespearean classic, but is set in the near future with a modern militaristic perspective. In an interview with both Washington and Gyllenhaal, the duo expressed their excitement for being a part of the show. Washington said, quote, "It's the most excited I've been this century. Seriously, I haven't been this excited about anything I've done as I am about this," end quote. Gyllenhaal also said, quote, "You get to a point where you're like, oh, I've worked my whole career for this moment. I feel tremendous gratitude, and Denzel makes me feel it when I walk in that rehearsal room every day," end quote. Othello is set to continue performing on Broadway until June 8th.
The Entertainment Software Association recently announced their Accessible Games Initiative. This initiative is co-signed by major gaming powerhouses including Square Enix, Nintendo of America, Riot Games, and Ubisoft, along with fellow tech giants Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. The purpose of this program is to assist in categorizing games based on their accessibility features, as well as incentivizing developers to be more accessible for other players. Stanley Perry-Louis, ESA president and CEO, notes in his press release, quote, "This initiative demonstrates how impactful we can be when we work together in industry-wide pursuit of helping more people experience the power of play," end quote.
I may love cinema and being in the spotlight, but I think I'm going to hand it over the cinema spotlight to Ryan Zayaks.
Thanks, guys. I know it's been a slow start to the 2025 box office, but things seem to be picking up again, and we got a lot to talk about. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has officially addressed his casting as the lead in Martin Scorsese's upcoming crime drama. The yet-to-be-titled film will follow a Hawaiian crime boss vying for control of organized crime in the state during the 60s and 70s. Johnson took to X in mid-March, calling this, quote, "the most creatively inspiring time," end quote, of his career, and teasing the film as the, quote, "last great American mob saga," end quote. He will star alongside Emily Blunt and Leonardo DiCaprio in what's shaping up to be a high-profile ensemble. Written by Nick Bilton, the story is based on real events exploring the power struggles that shaped Hawaii's underworld. With Scorsese at the helm and Johnson embracing a dramatic role, anticipation for the project is already soaring. This marks another major acting challenge for Johnson, who's also set to star in The Smashing Machine, an A24 biopic about MMA legend Mark Kerr. Given Scorsese's history with gritty crime epics and Johnson's growing slate of serious roles, fans are eager to see how both films will showcase a new side of the action star. Over a decade after its initial release, Jennifer's Body has solidified its cult status, and Amanda Seyfried couldn't be happier. In a recent GQ video, the actress looked back on the 2009 horror comedy, calling it, quote, a perfect movie, end quote. Seyfried, who played Needy alongside Megan Fox's Jennifer, acknowledged the film's initial failure, blaming its misleading marketing, stating, quote, if the critics criticize anything, it would be the marketing. The marketing sucked. It just did, and we all agree, end quote. Despite being marketed towards a male audience, Seyfried praised director Karen Kusama for crafting a film about female empowerment and friendship. As for the long-awaited sequel, Seyfried confirmed it's in the works, saying, quote, whenever you're ready, I'm ready, end quote. She even teased where her character might be now, imagining Needy as a boss running a branch of Planned Parenthood. With the film's legacy only growing, it seems Jennifer's Body is finally getting the recognition it deserves. The future of James Bond could be in new hands, as Amazon is in talks with producers Amy Pascal and David Heyman to oversee the iconic British spy franchise. Sources confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter that Pascal, known for her work on Spider-Man and Little Women, and Heyman, the producer behind Harry Potter and Paddington, are deep in discussions to take creative control. This comes as Amazon pushes to take the reins from longtime 007 stewards Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, whose family has controlled the franchise since the 1960s. While the details of the deal remain unclear, insiders suggest Pascal may take the lead producer role. Given Bond's deep British roots, Heyman's involvement could help maintain the franchise's signature style and legacy. With Amazon having already spent billions acquiring MGM and Bond's films rights, this movie signals a major shift in the franchise's future. The question now is whether a new vision for 007 will bring Bond into a bold new era or spark controversy among longtime fans. Will Bond's next mission be shaken up under new leadership? Only time will tell. That's it for this week's Cinema Spotlight. Now it's time for Commercial Spotlight.
Do you enjoy debating Quinnipiac sports?
That's all flash, no cash. She didn't net it in the back of the net. That's not even a goal.
What are you doing pulling out rhymes?
Brady, that's like a crossover with a missed layup.
Bobcat Breakdown is the place for you, with debate, analysis, and so much more.
Mate Marinov. He is good, but oh man, is he bad. And
that team is amazing. How do you not put fish on women's volley?
Tune in to Bobcat Breakdown every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. on q30tv.com/watch.
All right, look at you taking the stairs. Who are you?
We're your lungs. We are proud of you for quitting smoking, but you still may be at risk for lung cancer.
A routine cancer scan can detect it early when it's more curable. Good to know. Well, I gotta go somewhere.
So do we.
So do we.
Listen to your lungs. Get a routine screening that could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Gracie and Pedro might not get along so well.
They're standing on my tail.
But there's one thing they agree on. There's a right seat for everyone.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
Whether you're a dog,
Hold on, Pooch.
a cat, a fish, or a rat.
And I'm a ferret.
Be sure to travel safe.
How can you be so sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
On your next adventure, make sure your children are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
From film geeks to hockey dads, I've been hearing about Severance Season 2 non-stop. Have you? But I hope you're ready to listen to a bit more because our boys from Townhouse 740 are here with a special presentation of the season. Take a look.
Welcome back, Nick B. Been a minute.
Season 2 of Severance takes everything that Season 1 built off of
and just increases it like 10 times. Like how season 1 ended with the mystery of Mark's wife Gemma being alive. That pretty much informs every decision that the characters make in season 2 of trying to get Mark's wife back.
And going into season 2, not only does it develop even more mysteries than it did in season 1, it also keeps you questioning these mysteries, going on and on throughout the entire story, making you think of old subplots and new subplots both at the same time.
I think the character development in season 2 really stood out to me, like side characters like Gemma having kind of their own episodes solely dedicated to them, so we really get to explore what makes them special and a piece of this whole mystery.
So I think one of the most standout parts of the whole show is the cinematography. I think every shot just speaks wonders. There's so many shots that just would not have been thought about by any other person, and it really just goes to show how much detail is put into just any little shot, just a transition shot even.
Now refiners, what aspects of season 2 filled us with frolic, and which ones filled us with woe?
I think one thing we can all agree on is this season's Tramel Tillman's performance of Mr. Milchick this season. We got hints of his greatness last season, but I think he really, really shined this season with every single episode, every single line he delivers, every movement he does is so deliberate.
During the finale, everything he does is just so perfect, whether it's like how he expresses rage. Again, his line delivery, just about any scene he's in is great.
I really enjoyed how we got more character development for some of the antagonists. Cobell had a whole episode dedicated to herself that really fleshed out her character a lot and makes her somebody you kind of pity a little bit, whereas throughout season 1, she's, I would say, the most like loathed antagonist throughout it.
I appreciated this season the character development of Gemma a lot more. Throughout every episode, they would further develop the story of finally knowing who she actually is, who is Mark's wife, and what is actually happening to her at the moment.
The overall tension that each episode created, even with the sub kind of things going on in the background with the plot, I think the tension supported by sound design and music was really strong.
Another aspect that filled me with frolic was the Innie versus Audi dispute between Mark and his Innie, Mark S. And I think just seeing how Innies are people themselves, or at least they believe that they are, I think drives home the fact that there can be two people within based on the Severance chip.
I would give it an 8.5 hashtags out of 10.
I would give it a 9 hashtags out of 10.
I would give it a 9.5 hashtags out of 10. I think it was a near perfect season.
I like the 9 out of 10 hashtag rating. I think I'll go with that as well.
I will also be giving it a 9 out of 10 hashtag rating.
I will also be giving it a 9 out of 10 hashtags.
All right, well, while we are headed to the break room, we're tossing back to you guys at the desk.
Hey Alex, did you hear that Major League Baseball's Seattle Mariners are officially getting a sponsorship from Nintendo?
Can someone please hit the mute button on Joe? We're taking a break from U.S. news and heading overseas. Let's check out what Kevin Brennan has to say for what in the world is going on.
Thanks, guys. I just came back from an around-the-world cruise, and I have a lot to report to you. Sir Elton John has been named the laureate of the 15th Glenn Gould Prize, a prestigious honor that recognizes his profound impact on the arts and humanity. This announcement was made by the Glenn Gould Foundation on March 20th, 2025. The Glenn Gould Prize is awarded every 3 years to an individual who has made a significant contribution to the arts, reflecting the values of Canadian bands. Glenn Gould. Sir Elton John's career spans over 5 decades, marked by iconic hits and tireless philanthropic works, particularly through his Elton John AIDS Foundation. The selection was made by the international jury of distinguished cultural leaders and artists who acknowledge John's enduring influence on music and beyond. As the laureate, Sir Elton John will receive a cash prize and a sculpture by Canadian artist Colleen Wolfshine-Holm, symbolizing the prize's recognition of his artistic achievements. The Sims is facing a new major competition, the new Korean game titled Inzoi, created by a company by the name of Krafton. Inzoi is a life simulator where players must fulfill the game's tasks within their inhabitants. The game has been released so, quote, players can get a taste of the game ahead of launch by downloading the Creative Suite, which lets users create their own characters and build a home. However, these players can only download the Creative Suite if they receive an invitation to do so. The game is currently exclusive to Steam. Meanwhile, the PS5 and Xbox releases will follow at a later date. British Film Institute has recently awarded funding to two prominent film distributors, Altitude and Dogwolf. This financial support is part of an initiative to enhance the distribution of films. The target underrepresented audiences in the UK. The goal is to promote diverse storytelling and enhance a broader range of voices that are heard in the British cinema. By backing these distributors, the BFI aims to increase access to films that might otherwise struggle to receive wider audiences. This move aligns with the BFI's broader strategy of fostering inclusivity and diversity within the UK film industry. Ultimately, the funding is expected to contribute to more vibrant and representative films in the landscape of the UK. That's it for this week's What in the World? Back to What in the Desk.
Playboi Carti just released his newest album titled Music.
That's the name. Really?
Yeah, kind of plain, but once you sit down and listen, it is filled with toppings. Josh Cook ate that up and has a lot to talk about.
Hey, hashtag, it's your music view reporter, Josh, and the long-awaited Carti album is here after 5 long years. This 30-track album, it offers a lot of different sounds and unique styles and a lot of Swamp Izzo taglines all throughout the entire album. Carti was really in his bag with this one, I feel like. We heard a lot of snippets along the way to the actual album releasing, and he finally dropped. It was delayed a lot. We were expected it Friday, and we got it Saturday morning. He actually is doing a Rolling Loud tour right now, and he played some of the songs off of the album. I watched it. You could definitely tell that most of the songs on the album were exactly for that environment. People was jumping and screaming and everything, so you can't fit him in one genre. You know, is he rap? Is he rock? Because, you know, sometimes he be having like the rock music on the things. Is he pop? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to really like put him in one box and just give it a solid rating. I tried my best to give it the most fair rating I could. I would say the Carti album, Music, gets a 6 out of 10. I think that although he really went out there, he didn't play it safe, I feel like some of the albums that came out this year and like a few that came out a little bit before have been kind of mellow and kind of like, they didn't live up to the hype. I feel like this did somewhat because that it was 30 songs. For right now, I'm gonna run through my top 3 songs. Rather Lie, to me, is one of the best songs on the album. There was rumors of AI being used in the song. I don't know if that's true or not. So ignorance is bliss, so I'm gonna just pretend like it's not true and I'm gonna keep bumping the song. The Weeknd was in his bag with this one. The Weeknd's album that just dropped too was also a hit. You know, Playboi Carti and The Weeknd have been collabing a lot lately, and they don't miss. The second song that I'm gonna pick for the top 3 is Good Credit. with Kendrick Lamar. I did not expect him to be on this album once, let alone 3 times. I feel like Carti's verse was good. It definitely set the tone of the track, and I feel like Kendrick followed that tone perfectly. The third song that I'm gonna choose is We Need All the Vibes with Young Thug and Ty Dolla $ign. This song is just straight summer song. Like, I could drive to this song throughout the whole summer. This whole album you could really play during the summer, but this song in particular. A lot of the songs is like very like beat heavy and 808 heavy. This song isn't. So I feel like Ty Dolla $ign really got to show like his singing off on this album if it's just about vibes. That's all I have to say about this album. Hashtag that will be back after this commercial.
No, I'm not gambling. Live from the Piazza, it's Quinnipiac tonight!
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Buckle up! Nobody is more prepared for an emergency than Dogman.
With all your kung fu skills and your canine fortitude or whatnot.
But for the rest of us, a good plan goes a long way.
Come on, let's go!
So, whether it's an unexpected disaster or the world's most evilest cat bent on destroying all do-gooders,
Destroy all do-gooders!
you can help your family be ready for anything.
No time to waste. Will you get out of here?
Get started today at ready.gov/kids.
Robert De Niro may have lost the people's focus with The Irishman, but The Alto night just hit theaters with a more condensed narrative. Here to give their review is Zoe Matzel.
Hey hashtag, it's Zoe. The Alto Nights just released in theaters, proving that the mob movie genre will never die. So let's get into it. The film follows the true story of 2 of New York's most notorious mafia bosses, Frank Costello and Vito Genovese, both played by Robert De Niro. Overall, the look of the film was very well designed. The sets and costumes all fit the 1950s aesthetic perfectly, including the use of the cool vintage cars, which I love. The film's dialogue is great, every conversation and argument feeling so realistic, and especially in the court scene between Frank and his wife Anna, played by Catherine Narducci. The 2 of them spend the scene, each telling their own accounts of their relationship, entirely different sides of a story, even completely talking over each other at times, making for some courtroom chaos, and giving some extremely entertaining performances. There was also a good amount of humor in the film, and I thought those elements were great. The role was nothing new for De Niro, who has played mobsters in The Godfather Part 2, The Untouchables, The Irishman, and Goodfellas. I recently saw Goodfellas for the first time, and I loved it, and I can totally see the influence here. Part of the reason the film interested me so much is because it was made by the writer of Goodfellas, and I could see where a lot of it stems from. The film covers a lot of history, and although some may feel it was just full of cliches, the reason for that may be because the inspiration for Don Vito Corleone, the Godfather himself, was taken from the real-life Frank Costello. All of these real-life events have already been emulated time and time again in the world of Hollywood, but now we get to see the true story. I'm glad that they were finally able to tell the tale because the filmmakers had actually been trying for the past 50 years, ever since Frank Costello died, but now they finally can. I thought the film did pretty good at telling the story. I liked how they showed the evolving relationship between Vito and Frank, pretty balanced from both sides, so we get to see the different points of view. I feel like it wasn't one of the best of its genre, but the narrative was well conveyed and there was some great writing and performances from everyone. Overall, I would give the film 7 hashtags out of 10, and if you like De Niro, I would definitely recommend. That's all the time we have tonight. Back to you guys at the desk.
We're back and excited to present to you all Hashtag's newest segment, Media Mayhem. It's been a hectic week on social media, and here to give us the scoop is Emily Katz.
Thanks, guys. I've been trying to reduce my screen time, but with all that's going on, it's making it kind of hard and I got a lot to talk about. Starting off, Disney's new live-action Snow White remake has sparked intense social media backlash since its release on March 21st. The live-action film has faced criticism, sparking heated divided debates online over Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White, for not fitting the traditional physical and character description of the original princess. Zegler chose to move towards a more current version of this beloved fairy tale for the movie, saying, quote, "There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird, weird, weird. So we didn't do that. This time it's an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self," end quote. These comments have led to arguments online, with some users supporting a modern reinterpretation of the story, while others fear that such changes undermine the essence of the classic tale. So do you think that it's okay for Disney stories to evolve with the times, or should we remain true to their original version?
Well, I don't think it's necessary to insult the original, and I think you can also be feminist without being toxically feminist. There are a lot of iterations like Mirror Mirror that have done this well, and I think that if you add new songs that are really good, that are helpful and not negative, that take away, I think that's the direction you need to go in.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. And with a story like Snow White, it's been around for a while, and it's necessary for things to kind of change so you can keep the story fresh, maybe add, as was with this movie, a modern interpretation. You know, we can sometimes get blinded by nostalgia, so kind of keeping stories the same may not keep things fresh, so I think adding a little bit of a change to it just makes it, you know, a new movie.
Absolutely agree. It's nice keeping things fresh when it comes to movies. All right, moving over. A recent controversy between the brand Happy as Baby and influencer Brooklyn Larson has reignited discussions on the expectations brands place on influencers. Larson was gifted a bassinet for her expected child with the promise that she would promote the product on social media once the baby arrived. Tragically, Larson experienced a heartbreaking loss of her baby in November and informed the company that she would no longer be able to fulfill the promotion. The brand then requested to have the bassinet returned almost immediately after this news. After posting this story to social media, the incident has drawn comparisons to other controversies, like the viral Poppy vending machine backlash in early February, where influencers faced criticism for seemingly excessive brand partnerships. As influencer marketing grows, it raises questions about the ethical responsibilities of both brands and creators. So do you think brands are asking too much from influencers, or are situations like these just part of business in the digital age?
Especially with a situation like this, it's important for brands to understand that they need to have a sense of humanity, and especially going through the heartbreak of losing a child, it's necessary for the brand to take a step back and let the mother process this heartbreaking loss so they can, you know, recoup. And then eventually, maybe in the future, the brand could also do a partnership with them later on, but requesting the product back this early is a little insensitive, I think.
Businesses have an obligation to their customers as well. What does this show to other customers, other potential customers? It was not the time, and they should have waited.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And now, well, guys, Screenagers may have had some mayhem this week, but I've had a lot of fun joining you guys on Desk to discuss. Wish I could say more, but that is all the time we have for Media Mayhem. I see you guys trying to leave, but stay seated, as you're not going to want to miss what these two have left in store after this commercial break.
Here at Sports Pause, we like to have balance between having fun and working hard. Sometimes that competition we cover gets into our producing.
Tune in every Monday night at 9:30 at q30tv.com/watch for all the news, highlights, and more. This is Sports Pause.
Life's daily battles are not meant to be fought alone.
We're not powerless, so long as we don't lose sight of what's important.
Don't be afraid to seize that moment to talk to your friends.
Cloud, you okay?
Because checking in on a friend can create a safe space.
The first step on our new journey. You coming?
Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Seize the awkward. It's totally worth it.
This week, Joe and I are playing a game of Chillin' with the Villains with our host, Aaron Christensen.
Everyone is always rooting for our favorite heroes, but with no evil, there can be no good. So we do still have to give credit to our villains. Now let's see if you guys do be chilling with these villains. So, question 1. This Star Wars villain is known for his unlimited power. A. General Grievous, B. Boba Fett, C. Emperor Palpatine, or D. Greedo?
That would be Emperor Palpatine.
You are correct.
I don't know anything about
I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a Star Wars fan, of course.
My dad would be rolling.
All right, moving on. Question 2. This Harry Potter villain would have trouble keeping a pair of sunglasses on their face. A. Lucius Malfoy, B. Lord Voldemort, C. Professor Quirrell.
Lord Voldemort, are you kidding me?
You got it. All right.
I'm not a Harry Potter
Moving
fan.
on.
I am.
The final
of course.
question. Who is your favorite villain? Let's have a little discussion here.
Ooh,
Hands down, Darth Vader. No other better
Vader?
villain. 100%.
No. Listen, I gotta go with like Voldemort because we just saw him. He's just so funny and he has no nose.
It's a classic. It's a classic. Well, guys, I know we've had a lot of fun today, but that is all the time we have left for today's episode of #that.
Make sure to follow us on our social media accounts to stay up to date.
I'm Alex Kendall.
And I'm Joe Flynn. From the producers, talent, and everyone working behind the scenes, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.